This is Covering the Spread, part of the FanDuel Podcast Network.
Some big tests for national championship hopefuls are on tap in week number 6 in college football. We've got Texas taking on Florida. We'll see how that one goes with a rough year for Florida so far, but Miami going to Florida State as well. And of course, a ranked showdown between Vandy and Alabama, all on tap for this week. We're going to break down those key matchups across the nation by talking to Kent Padgett of FanDuel, getting his read on those games and his favorite bets at FanDuel Sportsbook. Welcome on into Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast. My name is JimSannes. I am a managing editor for FanDuel Research, joined here as mentioned by Kent Padgett. Find him on X at KentSports24. He is at Kent Sports on TikTok as well. You can find him across all the FanDuel socials. We're going to preview college football week number 6. Kent, welcome back to the show. How you doing today?
Good, man. How about yourself?
Ready for some fun games. And, you know, they may not be like the sexiest matchups, Vandy, Alabama, that is what it is, but Alabama coming up a big win. Texas hasn't looked amazing so far, and Florida is off to a rough start, but like pretty tight spread for that one too. Miami, Florida State, that one sells itself. So like fun slate again. And that definitely helps get the juices flowing on a Wednesday.
Absolutely. I can't wait to see all of these games. And I know Texas and Florida haven't, they're not 1-2, but that's still going to be an exciting game.
Yeah, it is. It is. And a lot at stake for these games as we get set for the championship and the playoff race to really begin heating up beginning these next couple weeks. We're going to break down Kent's thoughts on those games and also talk about the national championship picture. No real runaway favorite as of yet. So we'll see who Kent is eyeing in the championship market at FanDuel Sportsbook as well. But first, a reminder to make sure you're subscribed to Covering the Spread wherever you get your podcast. My game-by-game preview of NFL week number 5 is already up, breaking down my spread and total predictions for every single game and which bets I like at FanDuel Sportsbook. Tomorrow, Brandon Gadula joins me to break down his thoughts on big games across NFL Week 5. Player props with Andy Nader on Friday, all right here on the Covering the Spread podcast. It's to go subscribe there, but also check us out on the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. 6 shows per week, all the Covering the Spread shows, plus our DFS show every Thursday at noon Eastern. All right here in the FanDuel Football Betting YouTube page. Subscribe there and turn on notifications to know when these shows go live. Leave us a thumbs up. We appreciate those who have done so as always. FanDuel's getting you ready for kickoff with an offer you won't want to miss. New customers can bet just $5 and get $300 in bonus bets if you win. That's right. Pick a bet. Bet $5, and if it wins, you'll unlock $300 in bonus bets to use all across the app. You can build parlays, bet player props, ride the live lines, whatever your style, FanDuel has you covered. NFL season is finally here. Only question is, are you ready to play? Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. First online real money wager only. $5 first deposit required. Bonus issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets, which expire 7 days after receipt. Restrictions apply. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit fanduel.com/RG. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York. Now, Kent, let's start things off here by taking a look at the updated markets at FanDuel Sportsbook for the College Football National Championship. As of now, pretty wide open race. We've seen most of these contenders facing really good teams. So you got a sample of what they can do when the competition does get stiff. So, Kent, to you, any value in this market at FanDuel Sportsbook?
Yeah, Alabama was my preseason pick, and I still like them. So the game against Georgia, they looked good. This game was a polar opposite of the one last year where there was just no scoring in the second half, as opposed to last year it was just fireworks galore. They can hang with anybody, and I think come playoff time, it's going to be the same thing. And Ty Simpson obviously had the preseason hype. Then week 0, whenever that was against Florida State, it goes down to 0, and quietly he's like back to being the man. And 5 of their 6 next games are against ranked teams. Now, that can be a little scary to pick a national championship there. But I almost think it's an iron sharpens iron type of thing. And even if they drop one or two of these, they're going to finish the season with 3 losses to good teams. And when they get into the playoffs, I think they can hang with anybody. Again, my fear is this schedule and the number of losses they might have. But if they get in, I'm still confident in that pick. Now, if you were looking at the safest team to be a high seed, Oregon is the pick. They have one ranked opponent the rest of the way. It's Indiana, I believe, in 2 weeks. I think it's, October 11th. Dante Moore's getting all the Heisman love. They looked good against Penn State. They're the safer pick to get in and be a high seed, but we saw the story last year of them getting a 1 seed, and then they run into a buzzsaw of a team that's got a couple losses in Ohio State last year. So Bama's still my pick. Long way of me answering that, but I think they've gotten back up off the mat after the Florida State loss.
Yeah, Bama 8-1 at FanDuel Sportsbook. Oregon plus 550, as you mentioned, may be able to get some good, closing value on Oregon. They could enter the playoff at a much shorter number than that, but Alabama has some upside as they showed in that game against Georgia last week. So let's keep talking about Alabama because they've got a really fun game on tap for week number 6, Vanderbilt taking on Alabama. Both these teams ranked as they face each other for, I believe, the first time since like the 1940s or something like that. It's been a minute for sure. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Alabama favored by 10.5. Total in this game is a 55.5. Now, obviously, Alabama coming off a big win in Athens last week, but Vandy's been pretty frisky. So can Vandy, Kent, keep this one close enough to cover a 10.5 point spread?
Well, it'll be tough. They snuck up on them last year, but this year it's like College Game Day's there. Diego Pavia's in the spotlight. Like there's no way Bama gets snuck up on here. This one's been circled on the calendar for a year. Also, you say Vandy's been frisky. They're good, but let's not forget they were tied 7-7 against South Carolina when Lenore Sellers got knocked out. And that's really their only big win of the year. They've beaten up on a lot of like Georgia States and teams like that. So, my confidence level isn't so high in Vanderbilt. Obviously, I just talked about I'm big on Alabama this year, but since that Florida State loss, they're 3-0 against the spread, and the beast has like fully been woken up inside them. Johnny Manziel is going to be on the sideline apparently, like maybe even in a Diego Pavia jersey, and I'm just like, how much is Vanderbilt going to be like waving the red sheet at the bull here that's charging right at him? So when we talk like game script, this game's in Tuscaloosa. I could see Alabama getting under Pavia's skin early. I haven't seen him play from behind all year. He's also their leading rusher, and we know he's a little bit of a gunslinger. So if he starts feeling like he has to overcompensate, that's the formula for him to kind of go wild. And if so, I think it's only good news for Alabama. So 10.5 is a lot of points. I think it was over 11 when it opened. It's come down. If it gets under 10, I'm all over it. Even at 10.5, I'm still going to take Bama. I still think that's a good bet. And I think something around 31-17, 31-20 is in play. Now, I could see Alabama getting the lead and doing exactly what they did to Georgia. And, I'm liking the under here because I could see, like, if this script follows what I'm thinking, they get the early lead and their lines are just so big. I could see them just kind of leaning on Vanderbilt like a heavyweight boxer and just kind of walking them to the finish line without a ton of points in the second half, kind of like the Georgia game was. So, I think Alabama is the better team at home, a lot to play for, a lot of motivation. I like Alabama here by at least 10.
All right, the 10.5 point spread is -115 at FanDuel Sportsbook. Under 55.5 is -110. Story came out today that Pavia is being mentored by Johnny Manziel. And personally, I don't know if this is just my leadership style or what I want out of leader. I want to be told what to do, not what not to do. And I think that Johnny Manziel's expertise may lie in one of those areas more so than the other. So I don't know if I'd broadcast the fact that Johnny Manziel is my mentor personally. I might keep that one under wraps.
Absolutely. Is it like a friend who's just an older guy, and so you're labeling it as a mentor? Johnny's learned from a lot of mistakes. Sure, but
he's beaten Alabama.
But that's not, I'm with you.
Yep. There are some interesting choices there to be sure, but hey, it'll be a fun game. Vandy is very fun in their current state, and we'll see if they can keep this game close. But Kent does like Alabama -10.5 and the under 55.5, which is -110. Let's talk now about Texas taking on Florida. Right now, FanDuel Sportsbook, Texas is 6.5-point favorite. That's a pretty heavy 6.5 at -122. Total in this game is 41.5. Another rough year for Florida, but they can still play spoiler here and just 6.5-point dogs against a Texas team that has been, I would say, uneven so far this year. So, Kent, what's your read on this one in Florida?
Well, it'll be fun. And before the year, we could have thought this was going to be game of the year.
Yeah.
Heisman belt on the line, like who takes off, Arch or DJ? And it still could be a good one, but I think for different reasons. And I think it's because of the non-quarterbacks on the field. So Texas hasn't really beaten anyone this year. They have the shiny 3-1 record, which is better than Florida's 1-3 record. But Florida has seen some things this year. And I talked earlier about the SEC, like iron sharpens iron. Florida might be sharper than Texas as far as who they've played against. Like their last 2 games out were LSU and Miami. Texas was Sam Houston State and I don't know, UTEP or somebody. But like Texas isn't going to shock Florida with size and speed. If anything, Florida may be shocking Texas because Texas hasn't seen athletes like this since week 0 against Ohio State. So I think it's going to be a great game. My concern with Florida is their psyche, because there's all the talk of Billy Napier, is the team checked out, and DJ saying, oh, the offense is going to pop soon. I worry about which Gator team I'm getting here, but like that's kind of silenced in my head because this game's at the Swamp and it's against Arch and Texas, who have all the hype and the big target on their back. So if there's a team that Florida would get up for and put some of the noise, block out some of the noise with the coaching stuff, I feel like it's Texas in the Swamp. So Florida, like they're going to catch somebody one of these weeks. They have powerhouses galore. Just by like, hey, they've got a lot of good players, they're going to catch somebody eventually. It might even be this week. I think both quarterbacks are going to struggle. Just keep playing the way they have so far, not setting the world on fire. And this will come down to, like I said, the non-quarterbacks. Which athlete makes a play, whether it's defense, special teams, a slot receiver taking one up the middle, 7 yards for a touchdown. So I think it's going to be insanely close, closer than the experts think. I think ultimately Texas has a little bit more of that dog in them just because they're probably more dialed in than Florida is at this point. But I think Texas finds a way to win, but maybe by a field goal. So I like Texas to win this 20-17. But with that said, give me the 6.5 with Florida. And I'm not crazy about either offense, so I want the under here. So I'm guessing it's 2017 Texas, but again, Florida 6.5 and the under is my play here.
And like you said, it is at the Swamp. It is a situation where they've faced a lot of really, really tough teams. So the 1-3 record is pretty deceptive. They, of course, are also 1-3 against the spread. So they have not met expectations as of yet, but it's understandable given the schedule they have faced. The plus 6.5 is even money at FanDuel Sportsbook. Not a bad price there. Under 41.5, sitting at -110. With that Texas team, you kind of alluded to their struggles. Do you think those things are fixable on offense specifically? Like, do you think that this is, high expectations, had that tough game against Ohio State and they haven't quite righted the ship? Or is this going to be a long-term issue in your eyes?
I don't think it's a long-term issue. It's all just comes down to Arch. Like, What are you getting out of Arch? Because right now defenses aren't scared of him. Like they would have been just by the offseason hype. And I know there's like experts talking about his mechanics and he's, doing the sidearm thing. And I think ultimately that gets figured out. Like I trust that Sark's a good coach, but until he puts it all together in a game, like it could be this weekend. Like if they go off for 45 points and he looks great, then they're back rolling. But I think it all just comes back to the quarterback and like he's the straw that stirs the drink for that Texas team.
Yeah. And we've seen him play well in the past. So I agree. I have faith that he can right the ship. I just don't want to say it'll be this week necessarily. So Kent has taken the plus 6.5 even money, under 41.5 -110. But like, again, I think I'm on board with you where I kind of want to see it first, given that it's not a small sample anymore.
Yeah, exactly. And like he's flexed on the smaller teams.
Yeah.
This Florida defense is no Sam Houston State. And if it's a mental thing where he's, because it's all you hear about is like people criticizing him, celebrating over Sam Houston. And again, I'm sure he's got a strong mental capacity there as far as like the hype and the name he's grown up with and stuff. But again, like the yips are a real thing. And if he starts out slow in the first quarter, in the swamp, like he might start short arming some throws again. So until he proves me wrong, I'm expecting it to be under and expecting Florida to keep it close.
Well, speaking of the yips, let's talk about a quarterback who kind of seemed like he had the yips a bit last year and talk about Miami taking on Florida State. Right now at FanDuel Sportsbook, Miami favored by 4.5, and the total in this game sits at 53.5. Florida State obviously coming off that really tough loss last week against UVA. I think UVA may be better than what the public was expecting. So I don't view this being a terrible, terrible loss by any means, but they're now hosting the number 3 team in the nation. So can Florida State bounce back and cover, or do Carson Beck and Miami keep on rolling?
Yeah, you mentioned it, the Virginia loss, like double overtime loss, ball bounces another way. This is a different story heading into this game. And, both of these teams 3-1 against the spread this season. They've had the big headline wins. My concern for Florida State is if they get down early and Castellanos has to turn into a pocket passer. So against Alabama, he was the story of the game. I went back and looked at his stats. He was 9 for 14 with 152 passing yards. And each game so far, like he's obviously a dual threat quarterback. But if they get behind and he has to throw the ball like he did against Virginia, he threw 2 picks against Virginia. It could get ugly against Miami. And if they say, well, we're going to just run the ball down their throats. Miami has a top 10 rush defense, and that includes 2 mobile quarterbacks they faced the last 2 games where they held USF and Florida with Byron Brown and DJ Lagway to a combined 19 points. And even week 0, they held future NFL running back Jeremiah Love to 33 yards. So I think this is a situation of a defense just being a buzzsaw. And no matter what Malzahn throws at him, I'm just going to say I trust Miami more here. Whether it stays low scoring and in the mud, I like Miami's defense. If it turns into a shootout and both quarterbacks are having to sling the rock, never thought I'd say this, but I trust Carson Beck more of the 2 quarterbacks to sling the rock. So I think it'll be a great game and possibly an ACC championship preview. But I like Miami by a touchdown here, even on the road. So I think it's going to be about 28-21, which would have me taking the under there, but give me Miami here in this spot.
Yeah, I was talking about Carson Beck, last year and the struggles that he had there, but he played well in 2023. So seeing him play well here, it could be just like, hey, he did have some sort of mental block last year that led to those struggles. So I guess I'm more willing to accept the fact that he's going to be what he's been so far this year, just because it's not like we have not seen this before. We saw it in 23, and it could have just been last year was, a pick fest for whatever reason.
Yeah, and you never know. Georgia didn't have weapons galore last year. I mean, they went out and grabbed receivers in the portal this offseason. They knew there was an issue.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, just looking at the weapons he has on this Miami offense, that defense, Ruben Bain leading the charge there. Until I see somebody move the ball on him, I'm not going against Miami.
Yep. All right. So Kent is on Miami -4.5. That is sitting at -110 at FanDuel Sportsbook. He likes Florida +6.5 even money, under 41.5 in that game. And then Alabama -10.5 with the under for Vandy versus Alabama as well. Okay, Kent, gonna open up the board for you right now at FanDuel Sportsbook. When you look elsewhere, other games for this weekend, where else is seeing value at FanDuel Sportsbook?
So let's talk about a team we haven't talked about, but before the year we thought we would. UNC, Bill Belichick. So the 2 Power 4 schools they've faced so far, they lost to TCU by 34 and UCF by 25. They play Clemson this week. Clemson has been brutal this year, but UNC's only a 14-point dog. And is it still 14?
13.5 right now.
13.5. Crazy, because I don't think Clemson, I mean, they're 1-3, but I don't think they're this much worse than TCU or UCF. Both of those teams are unranked. And it sends chills up my spine a little bit to be like, I'm riding with Dabo Swinney and Cade Klubnik once again, but here I am, 13.5. Give me Clemson over UNC. Won't be surprised if Clemson wins by 3 touchdowns. It's a noon game. I like Clemson there, and this is one of those things I'm going to be fading Belichick until I get proved otherwise. But this is Dabo and Klubnik's last chance to prove to me that they're worth something for my Saturday picks. But I think UNC is that bad. And give me Clemson there. Then another one, this is just a system play. UCLA is a disaster. They fired the coach. congrats to your Northwestern guys just beating them last week.
They did not cover. I was at a NASCAR race on Saturday, and I'm like leaving the race, look and see they won by 3. I'm like, oh gosh, that's embarrassing. Like, they didn't embarrass me because they didn't lose, but they tried pretty hard to lose.
Yeah. And look, Nico, that's a whole different segment in itself. But this team, I saw a stat that they're going to be, if everything stands now, they're going to be the underdogs in every game they play the rest of the year.
Oh yeah.
And so they play Penn State and it was 25.5 when I wrote this down. Is that still 25.5?
24.5, and that's at -115.
Yeah. They are the way Arch flex on Sam Houston State. I wouldn't be surprised if Penn State comes out after the Oregon loss, the way people have been talking about James Franklin all week. I wouldn't be surprised if they walk in there and win by 35. And just, hate to pick on the little guys like UCLA and UNC, but system play, I'm fading them until further notice.
All right. So Kent is laying the 24.5 with Penn State. That is -115. Did want to circle back to the Clemson game and ask you the same question I asked about Texas's offense. Cade Klubnik has had stretches where he's played good football. That has not happened this year, but you're laying the 13.5 here. Do you think we see, I guess last year Klubnik played pretty well. Do we see the 2024 Cade Klubnik again here, or are we worried longer term about what that offense looks like?
If there's any 2024 Klubnik inside of him, this is the game it comes out.
Yeah.
That defense has been atrocious. I'm completely puzzled because before the year, I had Clemson, write him in as ACC champs, and then I'm walking around, Klubnik's as good of a Heisman bet as anybody.
Right.
And he's just regressed, and it's unexplainable, really. And the whole Dabo situation, you don't want me, I'll go somewhere else and win. I'm not going to the beach. It's just like kind of a weird situation there, and I don't think they're going to run Dabo off, but I am completely puzzled by that whole situation and not sure where to point fingers, or if it's a lack of talent around him or the O-line. You just never know. Or maybe we saw a version of him that he can't ever get back to. I don't know. But like I said, if there's a week that he channels what we saw last year, this is one of those get hot games.
Yeah, a good get right spot for Clemson. 13.5 point favorites are on the road against UNC, and Kent does like them to cover there. That is all that we have here for today on Covering the Spread. Big thank you once again to Kent Padgett for joining us, breaking down his thoughts on week number 6 in college football. Kent, appreciate the time as always. Good luck to you. Week 6, enjoy the football. We'll talk to you once again soon.
Appreciate you for having me, man. We'll see you.
All right. Find Kent on X at KentSports24. He is on Kent Sports on TikTok as well. Find him across all the FanDuel socials. I am on X and Blue Sky at JimSannes. You can find me on Threads at Jim.Sannes, and find FanDuel Research on X at FanDuel Research. Big thank you to our YouTube producer, Justin Lane, for his work in the video side of things. Thank you, Justin, as always. And thank you to everyone for tuning in. We'll talk to you once again tomorrow, breaking down NFL week number 5 with Brandon Gadula. This has been Covering the Spread, a FanDuel Research podcast.